already the homepage of the internet, and there's some big news out of the company today with the launch of video. And here to tell me all about it is Alexis Ohanian,
hello,
co-founder and chairman of Reddit. On stage, you just announced Reddit Video.
Yeah, just for TechCrunch Disrupt, we wanted to show basically the next evolution of original content that we've created. We know Reddit sets this global agenda with basically upvotes and downvotes. We launched a podcast at the start of this year, almost 1 million downloads now. We launched a newsletter just a few weeks ago. And today, we're announcing original video. And we have two amazing people, Stephen Greenwood, Jordan Opplinger, who are going to lead that outfit, and basically take a lot of the amazing content that Reddit services and try to amplify it, to improve upon it, and then give it back. And the first thing we're going to launch, which I did not get to mention on stage, is a series around our AMAs, these Ask Me Anythings that Reddit has become rather well known for. And we'll be starting with a video series around those, as well as some episodic things. You know, I did a couple seasons of Small Empires, and I really enjoyed that episodic format, and we have such an unfair advantage because there are such a diversity of communities on the platform. If we want to do something about slow cooking, seriously, there's at least one slow cooking community alone.
There's a whole subreddit.
And we can work with them to try to create something really special.
Right. When you talk about this AMA format, does this mean that we're going to be seeing them live? I like the organic feel of someone holding up, just having President Obama holding up a sign saying, I am who I say I am, and then, believing that.
So that, from a product standpoint, for anything standpoint, will stay the same.
Yep.
Where those AMAs shine is that the Reddit platform does such a good job servicing questions from people all over the world and sort of voting up, essentially letting users vote up the best ones. And the best AMAs are really authentic. When the president talks like just a regular person, when a celebrity kind of comes down from like the Tower of Hollywood and just acts like someone sitting next to you at a bar, that's this special authenticity only Reddit has. How do we then take that, put it on video, and share it to the world is what I'm thinking. And so we've seen that authenticity in text. Our first video is actually going to be with a Holocaust survivor who did an AMA about a month and a half ago. And obviously this is important not just for history's sake, but also I think it's the right way to get started with this video series because that was a moving read. How do we then sit down with him and a few cameras and take that same authenticity you saw in the text and amplify it by a factor of 10? Because that's what good video can do, right? You can actually feel like you're hearing this person's story. You're seeing them. You can just see it in their eyes as they're telling these stories. And I really believe this is going to be a new way for us to create just more amazing content to share with the community as well as brand new users of Reddit. And also, to be opportunities for brands to spend money on Reddit in a way that users still love and that brands love just as much. Right.
And Reddit is the place where so many stories begin, and people who are Redditors know that. And I feel like in the past few years, there's been more and more websites cropping up that 90% of their stuff is stuff that's originated on Reddit. How much is this video launch about making sure that you can keep that content on Reddit and keep those eyeballs on Reddit?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I mean, we've managed to become this, two dudes in an apartment has grown to be the 10th biggest site in the country. But we know that for every one person who loves content on Reddit, there's probably 10 who are enjoying it somewhere else. So everything we've done in the last year, or in the last, I guess, four months now, comment embeds, podcast, newsletter, now original video. These are all ways to broaden the funnel. And if people want to use, there are very successful businesses built entirely on Reddit content, and I'm happy they exist because it validates the fact that we set the agenda. How do we do a better job delivering it to more people ourselves is what we're solving this year.
Now I want to take you back a little bit because you started Reddit at Y Combinator back in 2004, was it?
2005, very first class, yeah.
And you've talked in the past about how you came to Y Combinator with a totally different idea.
Yes.
And they accepted you just as founders and your personalities, but not for the idea that you had. But the idea you had at that time was pretty prescient, actually, and increasingly now seems like it's working out for a lot of other companies. What was your idea?
So it was originally called My Mobile Menu, or which would let people skip lines by ordering food or drinks or whatever from their phone for takeaway or whatever. And we had this vision, right? We saw these lines outside of Starbucks, and we just thought, well, we have these mobile phones. I could just text in an order and just pick it up and go. And yeah, I guess we were a little ahead of our time. Fortunately, they rejected us because smartphones were still years away. Like we would have struggled on this idea for years. And I should say, fortunately, they rejected us, but I'm extra fortunate that Jessica Livingston made the case for us to get in. Not a lot of people know this. Jessica Livingston was the only founder, the only partner at Y Combinator who fought for us.
Wow.
So there would be no Reddit if not for Jessica. And I would go so far as to say Reddit was YC's first launch, first exit, like really first company that put it on the map.
Yep.
If Jessica doesn't fight for us to be back in there, it would have been a few extra years before Dropbox and before any of those other big name companies. So all credit Jessica. And now, of course, yes, there are a lot of, I got a chance to invest in a company called Order Ahead, which was doing my mobile menu. As soon as I saw them, I was like, yes, validation. Yeah, it's great to know that someone is going to solve this problem. I still have to wait in line, so it's clearly not a solved problem yet. But obviously, a lot of people are making good businesses out of it, so I'm happy for them.
And you're a full-on partner at Y Combinator. You're chairman at Reddit, obviously working on huge things at Reddit. On a personal note, how do you balance it all? Do you have any habits? Do you run? Do you do yoga? Do you meditate?
You're listing all the things I wish I were doing. I don't have any good habits that I would want people to follow. I try to hydrate. That's probably the single best thing I've done in the last 6 months. This is a little embarrassing, but it's a combination of not drinking enough water and spilling glasses of water all over my keyboard. Forced me to get one of those Camelbacks.
Yes.
And normally the kind of thing I guess athletes would use with the little sippy cup.
Yeah, the little straw.
I just sit there at my desk with my sippy cup, and I can drink 3 gallons of water in a day and not blink. Got to go to the restroom, but like no worries of spilling anything on my keyboard. So that's the best advice I can give you. Now to be clear, I am now a part-time partner at YC, which definitely helps.
Right.
Not a full-time partner there while back at Reddit. But yeah, Reddit's it's exciting for Reddit to again be the thing I think about first thing in the morning and last thing at night. But I'm trying to like suppress a little bit of that excitement so that I have a better work-life balance is something I frankly struggle with.
Right. I think it's amazing to see you come back and be such a public face and such an integral part of Reddit again.
Well, I've learned a lot, started a few companies since, done a lot of investing, a lot of advising, and I want to help. And I know everyone back at Reddit at HQ realizes the opportunity we have because we've managed to grow to be this influential, this large, to be the platform that really sets this global agenda, and yet we still haven't realized a fraction of the potential.
Yeah.
And so there's, having great leadership like Ellen has also just like, it's gotten a lot of us very excited. So it's a very weird story of Reddit, but we're all grateful to be working on it.
I think a lot of media companies out there are definitely shaking in their boots today with the launch of this, and I'm just really excited to see the disruption that's really, I think, going to happen.
Well,
so.
I'm just glad we could bring that to TechCrunch Disrupt because it just feels appropriate, right?
Alexis, thank you for coming to Disrupt.
Thank you very much for having me, Colleen.